Liverpool's triumph over Arsenal on Sunday night was supposed to be the moment that Anfield roared back to the summit of the Premier League with unshakable pride. But instead, it ended with a cloud of sadness, concern, and silence hanging over the stadium. What should have been a night defined purely by Dominik Szoboszlai's thunderous free kick, a strike of such beauty and power that it rattled through the air like a hammer blow, turned into something altogether different in tone and feeling, because the cost of victory may have been devastating. The joy of Liverpool climbing back to the top of the table, the ecstasy of defeating Arsenal in a game of immense consequence, the sight of fans waving scarves high into the night sky, all of it was tinted with a grim reality by the 77th minute, when Ibrahima Konaté collapsed onto the turf and sent hearts into mouths. Moments later, Florian Wirtz, the new jewel of Liverpool's midfield crown, was forced off clutching his thigh. A night that should have been glorious ended heavy with grief, and Anfield, usually a place of eternal song and thunderous passion, felt quieter, as though supporters knew deep down that celebration could only be partial. Joy always muted when the pain of seeing players in agony takes over. For Arne Slot, still early into his tenure as Liverpool manager, it was a bittersweet night. He arrived at his post-match debrief with two concerns greater than tactics or title races: the health and future of two of his most important players. He was asked about the free kick, about the noise inside the stadium, about what it meant to defeat Arsenal, but all he could think about, and all he admitted in whispers to the press, was the image of Konaté limping down the tunnel and Wirtz shaking his head, defeated, as if he already knew he had felt something tear. Liverpool went top of the Premier League, but the victory rang hollow. The story of the night cannot be told with just goals and points. It must be told with sadness, with the fear of what comes next, with the understanding that football's glory is fragile and can be taken away in the space of a minute. Konaté's injury was especially cruel. The French defender has spent so much of his Liverpool career battling with his own body, always seemingly on the cusp of something magnificent before being dragged back by hamstring pulls, knocks, and setbacks that leave him sidelined while his teammates fight on. The 77th minute against Arsenal was supposed to be the turning point in a defensive display that had been brave and resilient. Instead, it became the moment when his body betrayed him again, and his face said it all as he grimaced, tried to play on, then slumped onto the grass. Joe Gomez replaced him, and while the substitution did its job tactically, emotionally it was a dagger to the heart of fans who had dared to believe Konaté could finally put together a season uninterrupted by injury. The timing made it all the more devastating. Just before Szoboszlai's free kick lit up Anfield, it was as though fate had delivered joy with one hand and grief with the other. Not long after, as the game stretched into its final chaotic minutes, Florian Wirtz pulled up holding his thigh. A new signing, a record signing, a player brought in with so much hope and anticipation, already showing flashes of genius in Liverpool. Red. To see him shaking his head, walking away in disappointment, was a heartbreak that cut deep. For a player to arrive with such excitement and be cut down so quickly is a cruel twist that football so often delivers. Wirtz was supposed to be the future, the creative heartbeat, and now even in September there are fears that Liverpool's campaign could be scarred by his absence. The international break provides some breathing room. 2 weeks without fixtures may either soften the blow or prolong the fear, depending on the extent of the injuries. If fortune is kind, both Konaté and Wirtz could be ready for the trip to Burnley on September 14th. But fortune has not often been kind to Liverpool in matters of injuries. Every supporter knows the scars of past seasons when one injury spiraled into many, when hopes of glory turned into campaigns of survival. For Slot, that history must already be weighing on his mind. The squad is strong, but the margins are thin. Konaté's injury, in particular, opens an old wound in Liverpool's defense. With only Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, and the untested Giovanni Leone as senior centre-backs, the Reds once again face the prospect of heading into the most brutal months of the season undermanned in the most vital position. The timing could not be worse. One day before the close of the transfer window, Richard Hughes, Liverpool's sporting director, surely felt his phone buzzing long before the final whistle, agents circling, rivals ready to exploit the desperation of a club suddenly vulnerable. Marc Guehi was already on the radar. An opening. $35 million bid had been rejected by Crystal Palace, who knew they held a strong hand. Now with Konaté limping off and Liverpool staring down the barrel of another defensive crisis, Palace can demand more, raise their price, test the limits of FSG's resolve. Panic buys are not the Liverpool way, and Hughes knows the club has prided itself on avoiding rash decisions, but Slot may be quietly begging his hierarchy not to leave him short at centre-back with autumn's relentless fixture list looming. The sadness of the moment is that Liverpool should be enjoying their night. Arsenal, a rival so fierce and so talented, were beaten, and Anfield should have been alive with songs that carried on into the streets. Instead, there was a sense of dread beneath the surface, fans leaving the ground muttering about hamstrings and thighs rather than free kicks and title hopes. One supporter outside the Kop said with tears in his eyes, "I should be happy tonight. We're top of the league. But I can't stop thinking about Konaté. He's been through so much. And Wirtz, poor lad, he's just arrived, he didn't deserve this. It feels like a victory that hurts." That is the essence of this night. Triumph, wrapped in sorrow. Football teaches supporters to live with contradictions, to hold joy and grief at the same time, but some nights make the balance especially painful. Slot spoke softly afterwards, his words heavy. "We won the game, yes, but when I saw Ibu, Konaté, on the floor, and when I saw Flo Wirtz leaving, I felt the opposite of joy. As a manager, your first job is to protect your players, to guide them. And in moments like this, you feel powerless." His expression, lined with worry, told its own story. Liverpool's title challenge has already been complicated by reality. There is sadness too when reflecting on how much these players mean beyond tactics. Konaté is not just a centre-back. He is a symbol of strength, of the modern defender who combines pace and power with grace. Fans have waited for him to fulfill his potential to dominate the Premier League as many believed he would. To see him broken again feels cruel. Wirtz, still so young, carried the promise of a new era, of creativity and flair lighting up Anfield for years to come. For his journey to stumble on such a night feels unjust. The sadness lingers also because football, in its beauty, can be so unforgiving. One moment you are rising to the top of the table, the next you are wondering if your season has been derailed before it truly began. The transfer window, closing so soon, only sharpens the despair. Supporters know that desperation in the market rarely ends well, and yet they also know that doing nothing could condemn the team to repeat the mistakes of seasons past. Guehi's name will be on every back page tomorrow, not because of his performance for Palace against Aston Villa, but because Liverpool's need has become that much greater. Every phone call, every negotiation will now carry the weight of Konaté's limp. Every discussion of price will be shaded by Liverpool's pain. In the midst of all this, Szoboszlai's